How you guys doing again this morning? Are doing good? Any better? Yeah, I love the weather out there, isn't it? I wish to say like this, right? Well, I hope that you guys bring your Bible with you this morning, and we're gonna try to share together. And I hope and pray that we can go through this message here together. So hopefully, we walk out here, we can take what we learned, walk out here, so we can apply those what we learned to our life this morning. Before we go, let's go to the Lord and pray this morning. Father God, once again, I want to thank you for this opportunity, Father, to stand before my brother and sister here, Father. Lord, I admit I'm nothing, Lord, without you. And I pray that you speak to me this morning. Let the word that come up from my mouth, Father, not be mine, but yours, Father, that will edify my brother and sister in the Lord. Because I know that many of us are going through a lot of tough things right now, Father. May the life of Joseph, as we learned this morning, the value of trusting God that will be displayed in our life and the life of other people as well, Father. Now, once again, I want to thank you and continue to be with those who cannot be here this morning, Father. Pray that you bless them. Pray that you give them strength and grace, Father, to make it through today, Father, and help them to have a good day, Father. But for now, I want to lift up for the next couple minutes to you, Father, as you bless our time here together, Father. In your name I pray. Amen. Well, you guys heard the story about Joseph before, many occasions. I chose this particular one because like I say, I've been talking to a lot of people. They're going through a lot of very difficult time, both physically, emotionally, and then spiritually. And sometimes how we respond or how we react to certain things, it makes it different. You know what I mean? Sometimes we go through life, we thought like, man, this is it. I'm gonna go through this thing. I'm gonna hit this potholes, and pothole, and then it just things just never end. It just go and go and go. And sometimes it just life just like that. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I preaching on keep your eye on Jesus. I mentioned a couple along the way we'll hit a few bumps and a couple of those obstacles that we have to overcome and stuff like that. Well, I mean, if you read the life of Joseph, that's this kind of thing. It happened to him. He started pretty good, and things kind of going a different direction. But I kind of like the way how he respond to the situation that happened to him in his life, and then it brought him to the point where he like, man, he never see it coming. But the thing I like about his attitude, and the Bible mentioned that all these things that he goes through, it said that God was with Joseph. I like that. Sometimes when we go through life, folks, we didn't see that part because we are so focused, on the thing we're going through. And then we didn't realize that God is always there with us all the time. We're talking about in Sunday school this morning, there's a few things Apostle Paul mentioned. There's some pressure, there's some affliction, and there's a persecution that go along, to follow Jesus. But then he said, he told at the end, he said that even our body, our physical body, our outward appearance or whatever, they might be destroyed or might be perished. But then he said our inward body, our inward being is being renewed day by day. That was awesome on Apostle Paul. And then you can see Joseph's life in that situation. Like I say, the way we respond to the circumstance in our life, it makes a difference, folks. So I hope that this message this morning will inspire you, or maybe lifting you up, or maybe carry you to the next step. Then you come out, as Job was saying right here. He said that now the Lord blessed the latter day of Job more than the beginning. So, because Job, he went through a lot. He goes through a lot of things. And then he said, in the last part, he said, I know You know, he said, I know that you can do everything and that no purpose of yours can be withheld from you. In other words, even though, you know, like Apostle Paul said, you know, we go through this death, we go through this experience of this persecution, but he said that so that way you can get benefit of what we're going through. You know, we don't understand why we go through things in life, and sometimes don't make any sense whatsoever. But yet, what we're going through, it actually benefits somebody. You see that in life of Joseph in a moment here, with all the stuff they're going through. You know, the lesson that we learn today, hopefully, or this message, is that the value of trusting God, even in the face of difficult circumstances. I want to think about that. There is the value of trusting God when we go through things in life. Now, I'll read it out right here. It said that when faced with adversity, we can easily get this illusion concerning God's presence and faithfulness in our life. The way we respond to a circumstance will determine how well we fulfill God's purpose for our life. Chuck Swindoll wrote like this. I put it on a slide. And this is what Chuck Swindoll said. He said, I am convinced that life is 10% of what happened to me and 90% of how I react to it. Okay, slide 2. Think about it. Think about what he said. He said, I am convinced, right, the life is 10% of what happened to me and then 90% how I react. Is that true? Sometimes, have you heard the statement people say, oh man, you were overreacting? It's true. I mean, it's a human nature. It's part of our life. You know, have you ever known that God can use a circumstance in our life to get our attentions? You know, I list on the thing here on the next slide. He said, like, for example, God might use the word of other to get our attentions. Go with me, okay? I'm going to build something here. God may use the way he answers our prayer, the amount of time it takes for God to answer our prayer. Or here's the one that we don't like. God might use pain and sickness in our life to get our attention. Or God will use the blessing. Or sometimes God will use tragedy. Or you can use it with a term like finance collapse in the economy, failure, war, disappointment. I mean, everything God can use to get our attention. Many of us going through a lot right now. And I believe God's get our attention. And our United States of America, God gets our attention. What's going on in our country today. But I'm trying to tell you guys that God used a different method at different time with different people. You know, when the story that I like to use a lot is, Lisa and I, we went to school together. Well, actually, seminary, and then we have a great hope that we can minister together, and we would train and we work at a church down there. But 6 months after graduation, things didn't go the way it planned. You know what I mean? Things happen. But the way I can react to the situation, I can say, God, why? Why all of a sudden? Why do I spend 3.5 years and then now this happened? I can say that, but I didn't go that way. I didn't go that direction. But, like, for example, remember King David? Who knows King David, right? King David commits sin, right? Not only commits sin to have a woman get pregnant and have a baby, but also make sure that her husband killed. You know the story. But God used the prophet Nathan to speak to him, got his attentions. What about Balaam? This is some example. What about Balaam? Balaam had the wrong direction, and God spoke to the donkey. The horse to speak to him. See, you never know what God will bring into our life to get our attention nowadays. Some will be good thing, some will be bad thing. But we have to pay attention. That's why we begin to read his word, begin to pray. So God let us know. A lot of things that you can see in our church family, we have a lot of illness. I believe God try to get our attention. Hey, we need to get on our knees, begin to pray for these people. Begin to pray for healing. I'm just using an example this morning. You know, and sometimes God can use your circumstance to gain our affections. Let me read this right here. It said, God's faithfulness in adversity draw us to our Father's side in love and adoration. As we learn to depend on God, dividing trying time, we grow a love for God. That's what it is, folks. We talked about this morning about affliction. You know, as I said, God afflicting us is for our own benefit. So I believe these things come into our life. God uses this difficulty in our life, I believe, is to build our character. I mean, you can use the young people nowadays. You know, the thing that our young people miss nowadays is respect. I don't know if you agree with me or not. You see it everywhere. They had no respect for whatsoever, especially parents. They had no respect whatsoever. I don't know why. I mean, the parent didn't plan the disrespect in the children. All of a sudden, it just grows within them. You know, one day I was in the kitchen before I had to work. I was sharing with my family about how the reason why parents tell the children, you know, be careful or you know, ask how you doing, all this is because a lot of time when we so focus on the issues of life, we did not realize these little things that begin to creep in on our children's life. You've thought about that, folks? I know I'm not married like 22 years. I'm just learning. I have teenagers in my house. A lot of time, you know, I pick on my kid. I'm just for fun of it and joke around with them, you know, because I want to see I'm still here, even when I'm busy with all this, I'm still here. But yeah, a lot of times you see things in their life that kind of surprise you. It makes you think like, we didn't plan it in there. Where does that come from? Now I was sharing with them, I said, you know, sometimes there's a seed that in our life that we don't have to feed, we don't have to plant it, it just grow. If we allow it to happen, it will grow on it. Eventually, it'll drive us to, it'll get us in the wrong direction. But thank God this morning, we have a young man by the name of Joseph. All the stuff that happened to him, and he did not allow that thing. In a moment, I'm going to give you about 3 things, how he responded to his situation. He didn't allow what this bad thing happened to him to make him become a bad person. That's a lot of things we need to think about this morning as we focus on our life, as we take this journey to life. The thing's going to creep it on us one of these days if we're not aware of it. Okay? Let this be a lesson to us. You know, not only God use circumstance to get attention, but you know what? And I mentioned earlier, God used a circumstance is to grow a character. In a Romans chapter 5, verse 3 and 4, I touched up a little bit. It's talking about here, and Paul was talking about that the tribulation, this pressure, this thing that come into our life it's not a normal thing that happened to us, and then it's not stopped. This pressure is going to continue, you know, into our life. It's going to keep coming, but it come in different steps, different time, you know. That's why it's so important that when we were create this relationship with one another, with God, this pressure is going to pressure on us. It's going to come on us. Paul said, tribulation work patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. So in other words, is that this stuff that come into our life, it actually, it help us, it give us the ability to maintain this, even we under like a tremendous pressure. Okay, like Pastor Paul said, he's talking about Sunday school this morning. He said that he talking about the death in us, but the life in you. What Paul was telling the Corinthian people this morning, it was that, you know, me and Cyrus, we go into prison. We suffer this persecution. We suffer this affliction. It's because the benefits are on your part. That's for the gospel. You can receive the gospel. You receive the salvation. Many of you parents here this morning, you sacrifice for your children. They might not understand what you're going through right now, but in your heart, in your mind, it's because for their benefit. Someday when they become the parent, they will understand. Because I didn't understand when my dad and mom go through. I thought it was a part of life, but there's a lesson to learn there. In our passage this morning, look at me this morning, Genesis chapter 5 here. Like I say, we will discover several principles here, okay, from Joseph's life that eventually will help us how to respond to whatever is going on in our life. But let's read this together. Now, you notice the chapter 45, right? Keep going, brother. And then chapter 45, and and then what happened was that here he was in the situations, and then he got shipped out somewhere, and then this was a time for him to reveal the truth, or you can say it, to his brother, and then but let me capture before I read it. What happened here is that his brothers sold him into the slavery because they were jealous of the attention he was receiving from his father, kind of refresh your memory, and because they were angry with his dream. That was the second thing, and then the third thing here was that Potiphar's wife falsely accused him of rape, and so he was thrown in prison. Then he was forgotten by the chief cupbearer, and then on the top of all of this, Pharaoh put him in charge. And here's the truth. When his brother, this is what we pick up here in this verse 3 and 4 and 5 here. Will Joseph come out and open? You can call it drop the bombshell on his brother and his family. It says right here, I'll start with verse 3, okay? I just put verse 5, but verse 3 here. It said that Joseph said to his brother, I am Joseph. Does my father still live? But his brother could not answer him, okay, for they were dismayed in his presence. And Joseph said to his brother once again, please come near to me. So they came near, and then he said again, he said, I am Joseph, your brother. This time he adds something into it. He said, whom you sold into Egypt. But now do not, therefore, be grieved or angry with yourself, because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life. And because, again, verse 7, it said, and God sent me before you to preserve a posterity for you in the earth, and to save life by the great deliverance. So you can see right here, the whole idea here. Now, folks, I can tell you something. Joseph can go another way, how he respond to the situation. But you know what he did? He refused. First of all, he refused to blame others. That's a lot of time what happened to us. We blame people of the thing that happened to us. But Joseph, on the other hand, he did not. I mean, he can, matter of fact, the brother don't recognize who he is. He can do whatever he wants with, right? That's a lot of time. That's what we do to people. Joseph could blame his brother for all the trouble that he encountered, but he didn't. He didn't blame them. What would happen if he did that? What would happen if Joseph would say, you know what? I'm going to let you guys rotten. I got all this food. I know you guys hungry. I'm not going to give you anything. He can do that way, right? But he did not. How many times we see our children rebel against us? We didn't throw them on the street, right? We pick them up. We try our best to help them out. There's a benefit behind that. That's why he didn't blame. See, we cannot blame our children for everything that's going on in this world. We got to keep that in mind. Things happen for a purpose. They might pick it up somewhere else. You might not plant the seed, but they might pick it up somewhere else. But our job as parents is to be there, not to blame them for everything, but to guide them. We don't want to be like Adam, and Adam blamed his wife or God for what has going on. You guys remember that story? Adam said, the woman that thou have given me caused me to do this thing. So don't go there this morning, folks. You might not like that co-worker that you work with, and you begin to blame this and that. Don't do that this morning. Don't do that. Be like Joseph. Learn to be compassion. Learn to be kindness to that person. Because the reason behind that, it is a purpose behind the thing that we do. I like what Joseph said here, as I read earlier in that verse 7. He said, God sent me to preserve life and to save life. I like that, folks. Matter of fact, he repeated himself. Now, I want you to imagine with me for a moment. When first Joseph revealed himself to his brother, he said, I am Joseph. What do you think comes to their mind first? Well, Bible said they couldn't speak, right? They were like shocked. The idea not blame other people. You see, folks, sometimes here's what happened to a lot of time. It happened to us is that when things go wrong in our relationship, we expect other people to come to us, do things. But as we see in Joseph's life here, Joseph are the one that open up. You see that? He's the one that opened up, not with blame, but with the kindest word. To let him know the reason what happened, the reason what you have done to me. This is the reason to preserve life, to save life. A lot of time, that's what happened to us. We need to be that person. We need to be that I am Joseph person to get our relationship back together. That's what he's doing right now. If I state the reason what happened and not to blame them. But you know what? There's another thing that happened to what Joseph did. No, he didn't blame, but then this lot thing happened to us. The next slide is that he refusing to get bitter. You like that? And when Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said to Joseph, Joseph will persevere, hate us, and will certainly require us all as evil, for we have done to him. Now you got to remember back then, Joseph just tell them, right? Joseph said that, verse 5 said, but now do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourself. So in other words, Joseph already forgive his brother. They didn't get the picture. They didn't get the idea. See, that's what happened to us a lot, folks. We didn't focus on that forgiveness, that our sin or whatever have been forgiven. We begin to have this idea, this bitterness, this anger. Oh my goodness, I can go on and on. See, they knew that what they have done was wrong. Okay, that's good. And they knew how they would respond. Well, look at the next slide. What did I put in? I said bitterness. Bitterness. Get this, folks. Can emerge in our life if we only focus on the snapshot of the circumstance. The church, our church died. I just with R. It's like the church today died. It's because there are so many of us, folks. We are focused on that snapshot that happened many, many years ago. But if we can learn the life of Joseph here this morning, there's a forgiveness. There's a better way for us to do. I talked to Sunday school this morning. God put us into this secular place to work. It's because he had a purpose, and there's a benefit for those group of people that we are working with. See, sometimes we never thought of. We thought, I'm going to go to work 8 hours. I'm going to do my thing in 8 hours. I'm going to come home. I'm done. No, I don't think that's what happened. If we are Christ follower, okay. Why is it Paul was in a prison in Asia Minor? Because God sent him there. God put him there. And God will not free him or set him loose until whatever the Lord required of him to do. Joseph, I know he might put his brother into a task, all this and that. You got to read the whole story. To the point where he can't even hold himself, and then even though it's hurt, but what he tried to do, he tried to kind of delete those snapshots that did happen, awful thing that happened to sold to Egypt or thrown in the pit and sold to Egypt, and then being accused of this and thrown in prison before. He tried to forget all of those things. So that way he can reunite with his family. See, folks, I'm reading this. Sometimes we don't know how they all fit together. Okay? You might be betrayed this morning. I don't know. Someone might be speaking hard with you that hurt you deeply. Or you might get kicked out of some place in your life that you still had that resentment. You still figure, what am I doing wrong? Sometimes you're sitting there figuring out all this stuff. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit together. But Joseph, I like Joseph. Joseph, my friend, used his difficult circumstance for a greater good. And he refused. Hear that? He refused to be better. That's the thing that kills all of us in our life, is that we are so bitter with things in life. We shouldn't be that way, folks. We shouldn't be that way. Yes, things happen, understand. But we shouldn't be that way. Then again, and like I say, he chooses not to be better. Hey, I'm going to read the statement I wrote. I said, God brought good from the brother's evil deed. Potiphar's wife's false accusation, the brother neglect, the 7 years of famine, the experience in Joseph's life taught him that God brings good from evil, even those who trust him. That's why I said, the value of trusting God is so important. If we can understand that value, brother and sister, this morning, we will not blame people. We will not feel bitter. And guess what? You know what Joseph did? Now, I didn't look up how old he is when he got sent, so to Egypt. Someone say 17 in that neighborhood. Oh, no, he was a young man, right? And he was over for a long, long time, folks. He wondered, like someone said this morning in Sunday school, will Paul feel so pressure? He don't know when he's going to get out. He might just die in jail or something. As we talk about this one. I'm sure Joseph probably feel that way in the prison. He didn't know when he's going to get out. He helped people along the way. You know what Joseph did, folks? Because he didn't blame others for whatever's happened to him. He didn't get bitter. He recognized that God's timing was perfect. God's timing was perfect. See, folks, our ability to interpret our circumstances is very limited. Do you agree on that? If we know the answer to everything, we don't need God. We don't need other people. But ours a limit. I love what in Genesis here. He said, but as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant for good in order to bring it about as it this day to save many people. Can we honestly say that, folks, when something happened to us? Can we honestly say that it's a benefit to somebody out there? I was out back there when Brother Kim also was sharing with me. We were talking about how all this stuff going on when we after seminary, and then he go, Johnny, I know exactly what you're going through. This is what Kim also told me. God is preparing you for something. Even I didn't like that saying. I didn't like that saying. I don't want to go through affliction. I hate to see things what happened to Lisa. I don't like it. I don't get bitter. I just don't like it. Now, some of you go through that with your loved one. You know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of times, if we so focused on that, folks, we can be bitter to the point we can blame God and others as well. I'm going to read this whole paragraph here, and I'm going to say, throughout his tribe, talking about Joseph continued to trust God and live for him, making right decision in the critical moment of his life. Joseph did, folks? Joseph submitted to God in every area of his life. That's a good thing about Joseph. That's an amazing thing about Joseph. He committed everything to God. He was honorable and faithful to God during his year of slavery, imprisonment. Through it all, he never lost hope in God. Joseph learned the value lesson. God is always at work, even in the darkness. God has a purpose for all the circumstance that we face in life, whether good or bad. I'm close this morning by saying this. This morning, I want you to I want to challenge the next passage. I type it out. I hope it's I believe it's the last slide. I type it out for you guys. I want you guys to take this word to heart. I want to see what's going on there. I want to challenge you with this word and know that God loves you this morning. When He allowed things come into your life, is for us to grow and mature in our faith and our character. Look at it. He said, we know. If we can understand those two words, and we know, if we can get that into our head, I believe Joseph doing it right. He know what's going on. And he said that we know that God caused all things to work together for good to those who love God and to those who are called according to His purpose. This morning I quote the Timothy, where I say that those who choose to live a godly life will face persecution. But we know that God caused all of them to work together. Last week I told you guys that when we keep our eye on Him, He's the author and the finisher of our faith. Folks, I want to challenge this morning, or say something this morning that that when we take this journey into our life, some of these things going to happen to us. But keep those 3 points in mind. Okay, don't blame others. Okay, and then what's the other one? Don't get bitter. And learn to trust God in His timing. That's what I'm doing right now. I told the Lord that that Lisa will be healed and she's getting better. And we're going to continue with the dream and the vision that we have together. Yesterday, my heart was broken when I went to YPC because I've been praying for the Laotian people. I went yesterday, as I was sharing with Sunday school class this morning. Some of those people used to go to church. They went to Harvest for years and years. And they used to go to church. I mean, someone is so dedicated. And yesterday, I went and talked to him. I said, what happened? How come I don't see you in church anymore? Come to find out, they go through a lot of stuff. See, folks, when we go through a lot of stuff in life, it's just like someone came in and dimmed our light little by little. If we not be careful, sooner or later, that light is going to die. And that's what happened to these people in Rapid City. The light no longer shines in their life anymore. But Joseph, I like Joseph, isn't it? He's good. It'd be good if you guys go ahead and read his story. Matter of fact, if you don't want to read the whole life of Joseph, go read 2 Corinthians, the life of Paul, how he go through. I guarantee it'll lift your spirit this morning. Let's go and pray. Father, I do want to thank you. Lord, I don't know what the message will do to us this morning. But one thing, Father, I pray that the Holy Spirit will continue to work in our heart, in our life,